Welcome back. We're really pleased to be joined this evening by Sarah Lockyer. She's a forensic anthropologist with Canada's Casualty Identification Team. Essentially, she's the scientist who has identified the remains of many Canadian soldiers. What, Sarah? Often with just fragments of items.
Yes, exactly. With their skeletal human remains, some artifacts, sometimes if we're lucky, something with a name on it. But admittedly, a lot of these items do come damaged or fragmented.
Yeah, I should say she's also a very proud maritimer from New Brunswick. I'd be in trouble if I didn't mention that. She's in Ottawa tonight. This is a day we as a country reflect on the costs of war. Your work exposes you to that every day. Does that get draining?
To be honest, I think it's starting to. I've been doing this job for 9 years now. And even though I did all of my master's studies and my PhD studies looking at skeletal human remains, now that I'm interacting more and more with families and learning what it means to them, that is uplifting and motivating and so helpful. But at the same time, you can't really escape the fact that your job all day, every day is centered on death and is centered on death of service members who went through something unimaginable and horrific at the end of their lives. So it is starting, admittedly, to get a little bit more draining. But like I said, speaking to the families is one of the most uplifting and affirming things that is part of my job.
And more often than not, it comes out of the blue, where they're surprised by this because in some cases they knew they had a relative perhaps that was killed in the First World War, and that was sort of the end of the story.
For many families, yes, they did know and know about this service member, knew that the individual had not come home, had gone missing. But what actually happens more often is the fact that we contact either DNA donors or next of kin to discuss a specific individual, and those family members have no idea who we're talking about.
Yeah.
They had no clue that they had a relative who went missing for Canada during the First World War or the Second World War. So that's what we encounter more often than that is family members who didn't know this individual existed at all.
Technology is changing everything. We saw people laying coarse poppies at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Given advances in technology, DNA, and the rest of it, do you see a time when maybe there never will be another unknown soldier, that the science has come to the point where everyone will be able to be identified in the future?
I do think so. In terms of the unknown soldier that's at the Canadian War Memorial and the War Memorial in St. John's, in that sort of symbolic unknown soldier where we purposefully do not make any attempt whatsoever to identify that individual, personally, I don't think that would be something that would happen in any future wars. I don't think that the population would accept that, considering at how much DNA technology and other scientific technologies has evolved.
Well, let's hope we don't need to, right? I mean, ultimately.
Correct.
Look, a lot of countries don't do this. Canada does. Why do we see this as a priority?
Admittedly, when I speak to my colleagues who are military members, what they tell me is that for them, it's sort of reaffirming for them to know that if the worst were to happen, there would be somebody doing everything that they possibly can to try to identify their remains if the worst were to happen. So I think that's one of the main things to really sort of focus on, is really why we do that. But at the same time, these individuals who died and who went missing, they gave their lives for our lives, for those who live in Canada and have the rights and freedoms that we do. And I think it's the least that we can do when there are newly discovered skeletal human remains to do everything that we can to try to identify those individuals.
Sarah, we know that you can fill a couple of lifetimes of work given the amount of soldiers that are still unnamed and the amount of material that's still being dug up and unearthed in the battlefields of Northern Europe. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your time with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. We will take a time out. We'll be right back with much more.